Taliban fighters after desperately trying to flee. More than 60 members of Congress last week urged the U.S. to evacuate LGBTQ Afghans from their country. Canada, thus far, is the only country that has specifically said it would offer refuge to LGBTQ Afghans. Nick Herbert, a member of the British House of Lords who advises Prime Minister Boris Johnson on LGBTQ issues, urged the UK to offer sanctuary to LGBTQ Afghans. A gay man in Kabul has been beaten and raped by two members of the Taliban, who then demanded his father's number so they could out him. The victim, we'll call Hannon to protect his identity, has been talking to a man on social media for 3 weeks before agreeing to meet him. Hannon, a gay man terrified since the Taliban took control of the country, had been promised a safe way out of the country. He was deceived, and the two members of the Taliban met him and carried out their brutal attack. Hannon survived, but is living in silence, shock, and shame under a regime intent not just denying, but extinguishing the existence of him and we who are like him. Rainbow Railroad, a Toronto-based organization that assists LGBTQ refugees around the world, on Monday said it remains in contact with LGBTQ Afghans who hope to leave their country. Stonewall, a British LGBTQ rights group, tweeted, quote, "It won't stop working to get LGBTQ plus Afghans to safety," end quote.
This is just terrible. My biggest concern is, he was looking for safety, safe passage out of his country, and was duped. Identify who's actually going to help them or not. The part that I like about the story is now I've heard about two organizations I didn't even know about before that we can be supporting, right? Stonewall in the UK and Rainbow Railroad in Canada.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot to be said for shows like ours that tell these stories, because this is not something that you're hearing ever on the traditional news media. Yeah. It's heartbreaking and also eye-opening. These kind of hate crimes are happening probably on a daily basis. This is just one story that we happen to be hearing about.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. Perception of this news story comes from us as a LGBTQ plus community, but it's not being told to the mainstream media in many cases. And you hear obviously about women and children, and sometimes our story is not elevated in the national news media. So I'm glad we're doing it here.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I bet it's not the first story we'll see. So supporting those organizations.
Absolutely. What's most distressing, I agree, the overall dread of even telling this story. I haven't seen some traditional media story on the LGBT experience in Afghanistan. Not one story. That is tragic because approximately 1.5 million LGBT exist in Afghanistan, and we have reported extensively what the Sharia law and the judges, even in the last month, have said. If you are found and you get into court in Sharia law in Afghanistan in leadership